Good morning, everybody. I'm Orlando Sanchez, and this is our weekly Facebook Live. We're delighted that you've been able to join us, and we hope that you can stay with us for the entire program. We're going to try to limit it to about 45 minutes, but that's if we can get my co-host to quit talking, Andrea Gomez. Good morning, Andrea.
Buenos días a todos. Menos mal, todos ya nos conocen y saben, el que más habla es Orlando, pero seguro a las 11:45 él va a decir que ya no hay más en vivo porque le da hambre y es la hora del almuerzo, la hora del lunch. Buenos días a todos y gracias por acompañarnos en este Facebook Live cada semana, como siempre, los miércoles a las 11 de la mañana más o menos, porque pues así somos los latinos, ¿no? Siempre
Claro,
como que
siempre
más o menos. Y hoy nos acompaña pues un invitado súper especial, Hilario Yáñez. Él es un beneficiario de DACA y está con nosotros precisamente para hablar de cómo llegó a este país, cómo resultó siendo beneficiario de DACA, cómo sus padres han luchado porque él siempre pues tenga una mejor vida, para que él siempre tenga un mejor futuro y por qué Hilario es conservador. Eso es algo súper importante. Así que hoy vamos a darle la bienvenida a Hilario. Hilario, ¿cómo estás?
Muy bien. Muchas gracias por tenerme. Sí.
Well, now you can explain in English.
Since I'm the official translator, so we have Hilario Yáñez, who is an immigrant to this country. He is a DACA beneficiary. And for you that don't know what DACA is, it's Deferred Action
for childhood
arrivals into the United States. Basically, these are the kids whose parents, when they crossed the border, brought them along, and they were young, had no decision whatsoever in the process. They're just a victim of circumstances. And I don't say that, being victim like, the Democrats like victims. It's just that they were the children of parents who came over to this country, and now they have lived as Americans. They speak the language perfectly. They have been educated in the United States. As in Hilario's case, he's a graduate of my alma mater, the University of Houston. He's a contributing, tax-paying member of this society, but he has no legal status other than having been the recipient of DACA. So we want to talk a little bit about that. But before we do that, I want to give you a recap of what's happened this week. I want to congratulate Alan West, who is now the chairman of the he's the chairman-elect of the Republican Party of the state of Texas. And for us conservative Latinos, I just want to say that, and while we're happy for our brothers and sisters of African-American descent, they continue to run circles around the Latino community. Here in Harris County, for example, and I'm going to get very political, our organization, which is, Texas Latino Conservatives, have recruited several good candidates to run for offices around the region of Harris County. Harris County is majority Latino, and yet the Republican Party of Harris County is having difficulty figuring out what kind of candidates we need to nominate to be on the ballot in November. We're very vociferous here at the PAC, and we have endorsed and we're supporting a young lady that we believe will win in November. Her name is Michelle Fraga. We are supporting Michelle for county clerk in Harris County. That is a position vacated by the duly elected Democrat because she was concerned about COVID. And so there is a vacancy on the ballot. The executive committee of the Democratic Party and the executive committee of the Republican Party will have to nominate somebody to appear on the ballot. By the way, that's how I won county treasurer about 14 years ago, is that the executive committee of Harris County nominated me over my dear friend and fellow conservative Don Sumner's at the time. And since then, I was among the highest vote getters in Harris County. I've always argued that Latino conservatives do very well in November. And so now we've got to make a decision. Do we go back into the past and elect the guy that served with me, Stan Stannard, who's a great human being? I served as Stan's treasurer when he ran for county clerk, and I was his colleague at Harris County. And Stan is a wonderful human being. But Stan and I are the past. And so the person that we have recruited, Michelle Fraga, is the face of the future of Harris County. Let me repeat that. She is the face of the future. And so having said the face of the future, we want to again officially welcome Hilario. And Hilario, Thank you for taking time to be with us. Tell
Absolutely.
us a little bit about DACA. What are, everybody talks about DACA. So who are DACA recipients? Explain to us what the law is.
Absolutely. So DACA recipients, so in my story, as someone who came here through no fault of their own, so I was brought here when I was a year old. And pretty much DACA was created back in 2011 through an executive order under President Obama, former President Obama. And what that really did, it said if anyone came to the United States under a certain period of time, if they were under 12 years old, I believe, they can apply for this status. And what this status does, it allows them to have a work permit, but they do have to go through an extensive background check. They got to get their biometrics done. Once that gets approved and there's no criminal record, then I get a work permit and a Social Security, and really that allowed me to live the American dream that I love so much. But mainly, a lot of DACA recipients are on average about 26 years old, 27. I don't know the number yet, but quite frankly, but we pay, we serve our communities, we pay our taxes. A lot of them are doctors, teachers. I work for a Fortune 500 company, so we're contributing to our economy, to the society. We serve our communities. We go to churches. So really, at the end of the day, DACA really allowed me to live the American dream.
Hilario, recently, a couple of weeks ago, the Supreme Court made a decision in favor of DACA. It was a big victory for you guys. Tell us about what that means for you guys and what that means for all the kids these days, because now I know that the government is accepting new applications for DACA.
Well, before you answer that, let me just verify that the Supreme Court did not make a decision in favor of DACA, although that's what the media talks about. They made a decision. The Supreme Court doesn't decide these broad issues. They're very narrow issues, and what the Supreme Court decided was that they had brought suit against Donald Trump and that he had tried to reverse an executive order, and that the means by which he did, the Supreme Court had issues with it. The Supreme Court didn't say that Donald Trump couldn't rescind DACA. It's just the way that he did it violated some aspect of law, and none of us are attorneys, but that was, the Supreme Court didn't decide whether they liked DACA or didn't like DACA. It was just very narrowly tailored, and the president has the opportunity to come back and rescind it if he wants to, but that's where we are, right?
Yeah, so right now we have some breaking news just happened in the past couple of days where the president went on Telemundo and did an interview and said that he is going to sign an executive order that will possibly include a permanent solution, so pathway to dreamers, DACA recipients like myself. So we don't know the full details of what that means, but I mean, that is a big movement and a big step in the right direction. I mean, for a president of the most powerful country in the world saying, welcome home, we want you to be here. This is why I've supported overall just the president and just because my conservative values, but I really do think he has a heart for the dreamer community and DACA recipients. I mean, he's a father, he's a family man. These are, like myself, I was brought here through no fault of my own. So I'm just trying to live the American dream. So he understands that. And so to me right now, we're in the 2-yard line right now, and we're just trying to wait on the details. But, been working with a lot of organizations. And I'm grateful to be here today to just advocate and help the president to let them know that, DACA is a winning issue overall. It's not a Republican issue. It's not a Democrat issue. It's an American issue.
Correct.
And a lot of Republicans, a lot of Trump supporters, everywhere I go with conservative or, groups are in favor for the dreamers and stand for the dreamers. I always get positive, responses back. And so for that, we're just in the 2-yard line. We're trying to wait what the president is going to do next.
So, Hilario, you're obviously aware that the Texas Latino Conservatives, as a political action committee, and both are 501c4, we operate as a nonprofit organization, some time ago took the position that we understand, we immigrants, because again, everybody at this table is an immigrant, right? Mexico, Cuba, Colombia, right? We all happen to come here legally. And I say that because Hilario did not make the choice as a 1-year-old to cross the border. His mom and dad did, for whatever reason. Yeah. And it probably was economic. They were looking for a better life for his parents and for Hilario. It happened to work out pretty darn good for Hilario because now he's a contributing member of the American society. He's a solid conservative. He articulates his values, which are the values of most Latinos. But the immigration issue has become a political football. And guess who gets caught in the middle? We do, meaning immigrants, right? I'm a legal immigrant, and Andrea is a legal immigrant, and so is Ilario, because now he is the DACA recipient, but his family lives in that limbo, right?
Correct.
That your parents
Exactly.
theoretically could get deported tomorrow.
Absolutely.
And I'm sure we have come to the conclusion, we as a PAC, that we've had enough of the politicians in Washington, D.C. playing political football for the last 50 years with respect to immigration. It is no surprise to the Republican Party that we've had a porous border for 50 years. And it is no surprise to the Democrats that we have had people crossing the border illegally. Both have been in power. Both have had majorities in the Congress, both the Senate and the House. Both parties have occupied the White House, the executive branch, and neither party has seen fit to resolve the immigration issue. So we're here to help. So the PAC's position is, with respect to undocumented aliens that have lived in this country and not in violation of the penal code, have a family, have paid taxes, have contributed to this society, mom and dad ought to receive a legal permit to remain as legal residents of the United States for a temporary period of 5 years. Those permits are renewable every 5 years, and there is no pathway to citizenship for those that cross the border illegally. That means that Eladio's parents could apply for what we call family stabilization every 5 years. And as long as Eladio's parents live within the law, they can renew those permits and live here for as long as they wish. The only problem is that they're not going to become U.S. citizens. Eladio can become a U.S. citizen because he essentially is. And so, Eladio, I'm sure you're aware that we proposed that several years ago.
Absolutely.
And we're looking for leaders in the Republican Party. We're still waiting for somebody to say, let's stabilize these families like Eladio's that live in crises, because Eladio is a man now, but when he was a child, I'm sure it was not fun living under the idea that your mom and dad could be removed, right? Did you have that fear as growing up?
I did, and even on my personal life. And so, first of all, I want to thank y'all for that position, because a lot of times, we there's not that voice for those that are the paletero mans, or the people that are going out cutting people's yards, or the construction worker, or the people like my mother who cleans houses for a living. And so to advocate and have a voice for the voiceless, I do commend y'all for that leadership. It's a bold leadership, but it's a much needed discussion to be had. And I absolutely agree with you that I wish more Republicans can be compassionate and understand and be for the immigrants overall. So I do appreciate, that position for sure.
Hilario, tell me, I don't know if you've been feeling like attacked from people, like they're saying like why you are conservative and why you are with the Republican Party if you are a DACA recipient, if your parents are immigrants, and people assume that you should be the other party. So tell me about that and why you feel that you have these conservative values.
Yeah, don't you know conservatives and Republicans hate immigrants?
Oh, I haven't experienced that yet. I mean, I've gotten nothing but love and respect overall. But no, you're absolutely right. I think a lot of people assume, oh, you're Hispanic, you're an immigrant, you automatically got to be a Democrat. When I went out and I said that I'm a conservative, I went on a Fox News, which is a conservative channel. I got a lot of attack and a lot of hate from the Democrats and the left. You're a traitor. You're a coconut. You should self-deport yourself.
Vendido.
Vendido, all that type of negativity. And but at the end of the day, I think for myself, and I think I get my acceptance, and I know who I am in God and not in people. So I put my full faith in God. Growing up, I would always complain and tell God, why did you make me homeless? Why did you make me poor? Why did you make me an immigrant? I had this victim mentality. But the more I ran to him, the more I started to understand that, this is the life he's given me. And for, looking back at it now, I'm a first generation college graduate. I work for a Fortune 500 company, and I live in the greatest country on earth. And my why has become my thank you. And I thank God for the life He has given me. And so I'm just extremely grateful. At the end of the day, my faith is in God, and I work after my family, and I believe in freedom. And those values happen to be, part of the Republican Party. I think like one side probably looks at you, wants you to be a victim for the rest of your life. But there's another side that wants you to have individual responsibility, work hard, stand on your own 2 feet, and be a victor. And that's the side that I'm on, which is the Republican Party.
Yeah, and I tell people all the time that, the Declaration of Independence or the Constitution, I can't remember now, believe it or not, the preamble says in search of a more perfect union, right?
Mm-hmm.
We're not perfect.
Correct.
But we're always in search of doing the right thing.
Absolutely.
And so this is the wonderful thing about America is that, Eladio, I'm sure, counts his blessings every day that his parents did make that decision, albeit, didn't follow the rules. But they knew that there was an appetite in this country for hardworking people. And so his parents made that decision, and here he is. Just as my parents in 1962 made the decision that they were going to accept an offer by the former county judge in Harris County. You see, this is how my family got here. In 1962, we were living in Caracas, Venezuela, as exiles of a communist socialist regime in Cuba. We fled, as did hundreds of thousands of Cubans after the revolution. And we were just stuck in limbo, basically, in Venezuela, when my father was offered a job by the former Harris County judge who owned a professional baseball team known as the Colt 45s. They subsequently became the Houston Astros. My father became one of the early voices in Major League Baseball. That's how my family got here. We fortunately came legally, but there are a lot of families around the world, and we recognize this. There are billions and billions of low-income, poorly educated human beings that are trying to provide a better future for themselves and their families. Unfortunately, we can't take them all. And because of location, a lot of Mexicans do get to cross the border into the United States. That's why we have such a large Mexican undocumented, or as a lot of people like to call them, illegals in this country. We all recognize the game. We're not idiots as immigrants. We understand that there was an appetite for low-wage workers in this country, and the door was wide open. La invitación existía y sigue existiendo para que vengan los indocumentados, para que tomen trabajos, para que no le paguen salarios adecuados, en mi opinión,
Mm-hmm.
¿no? Y todos lo sabemos. Así que
Ya tenemos comentarios.
Okay, we have comments. So again, I'm editorializing because the O in my name doesn't stand for Orlando; it stands for opinion.
I know.
So, okay, comments. Let's take comments from everybody
So
watching.
do you guys remember when we started the live that he said that I talk too much? Well, now you know who talks
It's
too
been
much.
flipped around.
Yeah. We know.
Sorry.
Okay, so we have a couple of questions, a couple of comments. Ernesto Chavez says, so are you guys encouraging Latinos to vote Republican or Democrat?
We're encouraging Latinos to vote. Part of the PAC's responsibility is to educate Latinos on their values, right? That I have lived in the United States since 1962. What I don't want to happen to the Latino community is what's happened to our brothers and sisters in the African American community under Democrat leadership. And so what I'm going to tell the Latino community is we are conservatives, right? We have conservative values, family, church. We work hard. We don't want handouts. Vote your values. Once you realize what your values are, we know you're going to vote the right way. We here vote Republican. Eladio's a Republican. I'm a Republican. I'm not going to speak for Andrea. She can tell you what she is. But we're about conservatism. We're about preserving this great country. We're about following the Constitution. We're about following the law. We're about placing our family as number one. Well, God number one, family, and then country. That's what we believe in.
Okay, more comments. Okay, well, I'm going to, before the question, I'm going to say hi to Ricky Cruz, the chef from Grotto.
Hey, that's my friend.
He said, hi, Lario, Fox News guy.
Yeah, absolutely.
And happy birthday, my love. I know it was your birthday yesterday, and I love Ricky.
That's awesome. He's a good guy.
Best food ever with Ricky.
Well, he should invite us to the restaurant.
Oh, you know what? We need to do a Facebook Live over there.
With him.
Of course, with him.
A tasting.
Yes,
you
a
know?
tasting.
Just
Okay,
bring the
Ricky.
plates out, man.
Ricky, if you are still listening to us, you need to, well, lunchtime.
It's not too late. Right.
It's not too late. Okay. Another one. Somebody said you guys need to clarify between legal immigrants and illegal immigrants.
Okay, clarification between the difference between legal immigrants and the illegal immigrants. Eladio's parents are illegal aliens in this country. Eladio, because of DACA, is now a legal alien in this country. I am a legal alien. I was an asylum seeker, so in 1962, because I fled from Cuba and communism, there was the Cuban American Adjustment Act of the 1960s. So all Cubans applying for asylum were granted legal residency. And I know that a lot of my Mexican American friends believe that's unfair. I'm sorry, but that was the law at the time. It's not my fault. Just like, Eladio came and it wasn't his fault that his parents brought him. It wasn't my fault that my parents followed the law and we applied for asylum and we received residency. I'm not going to comment whether that's fair to Mexicans or Haitians or Puerto Ricans. It was the law at the time. And
in my case, I came with a visa.
And so she came with a visa. You didn't overstay it, did you?
I didn't know I was going to stay, but I ended up...
No, you didn't overstay it, did you?
Oh, no, I never.
You followed the law.
Yes.
So we're all legal immigrants, but there is a difference between legal, following the laws and procedures, and illegal. I hope that clarified you. We have millions of illegal aliens that come to this country. Eladio's parents are one of them. We're not here to judge. We know that most of them, 99.9% of them, are hardworking family members going to church, paying taxes. It is what it is.
More comments. Okay, Ernesto Chavez said, well, thank you. Sounds good to me. Republican all the way then? Well.
Welcome aboard.
Okay. Ricky Cruz, the chef, said, yes, thank you. I mean, we can do the test and we can do the tasting and the Facebook
great.
Live.
Free food. Free stuff. Free stuff.
Okay. Janie Elizondo. Janie, hope you're still with us. She said, so we are okay with not following our laws because I could get desperate and rob a bank because I need more money for my children and a better life?
So let me answer that because that's a great comment that I get from a lot of my friends. So let's not follow the law. If we need money, we'll go to the store and rob the store of bread and all their milk and clean them out. And if we need money, we'll go to the bank and rob. Let me tell you something. Banks protect their front doors. They have cameras, they have security guards, they protect their border. Okay? America did not protect its border. I spent years in the United States military along the Rio Grande River, and I saw thousands of men crossing from south to north. Did we not know that men were coming up here in desperate situations looking for work? This was the American policy with respect to immigration. It was a wink and nod policy. Yeah, it's illegal to cross the border. Hey, but if you get here, we'll give you a low-wage job. We figured out the game, okay? And so now we have a duty to these families, millions of them that have lived here and have worked hard. Criminals, let's get rid of them, right? Get rid of them. Lock them up, process them, deport them. But those that have families and are working hard and paying taxes and contributing, and their children now are contributing members of the society, I think we owe them, we meaning legal immigrants, owe them a duty to speak for them. And that's what our PAC does. So,
okay, more comments.
Yeah, absolutely. And I just want to, the reason I'm here is because the immigration system is broken. And the way I've been advocating is if we want to have immigration reform, we need to have immigration control. And so obviously border security would be something that we need to talk about.
Are you for border security?
I am for border security. Absolutely.
I'm for border security.
Yeah, absolutely.
Are you for border security?
I am for border security.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So here we are, immigrants, we're all for a secure border. Yeah. So, hey, Congress members, if you're watching, we want a secure border. But we also want you to work for a resolution for the millions of families that are living under crises.
Here. Yeah. And another comment. Patricia Hersey Rivas. Such stories are the reality for most Latinos that moved to Houston. And now is our home. We are proud Americans fighting to keep the country great and trying to recover freedom on our own.
You know, Eladio, on my way here today, I was always saying, and one of the things you guys probably know about me after 25 years in public life in Houston is that I'm pretty much I'm sorry, what they call the turd in the punch bowl in Texas. I tell it the way it is. You know, the Republican Party is always a day late and a dollar short. We always miss opportunities. This is an opportunity for conservatives to lead in a very conservative, narrow path and offer solutions to a big crisis here in Texas, because millions of our families are living in crises and we're paying the results for it. As a political party in urban areas in Texas, whether it's Dallas County, Harris County, Bexar County, we're seeing the results of our inaction. We're seeing the results of our inaction because the majority of the population of those counties are becoming more brown, more Hispanic. I know a lot of people don't like that. I don't like ethnic politics either, but it's a reality. And unless we come up with solutions, we're going to lose this generation of voters that is desperately wanting to work as conservatives and contributing members in America.
Okay,
Can I say something?
Yes,
real quick,
you can
just
say
real quick?
something.
You're absolutely right. You know, looking back at my life, I wish I was I used to pray that I wish I was a U.S. citizen, but being an immigrant made me appreciate this country a lot more. And it's such a blessing and an honor and a privilege to be a U.S. citizen. You know, I know, there's always the left side, the Democrats want to play this victim card, but we often forget that we live in the greatest country on earth here. And so, looking back at my life, if you're a U.S. citizen, like, oh my goodness, like the opportunities are incredible. You just have to go out there and find them.
But how do you respond to critics that say, hey, Eladio, that's great. You've made it. You've got a college degree. You work for a Fortune 500 company. What about the rest of us? How come we can't have that same opportunity? How do you respond to that criticism?
I look at it back to, you got to know who you are. You got to know what your values are. The thing that really changed me around was my faith in God. The first thing was that I gave my life to Christ, and it's been the best decision in my life ever since then. God has just opened incredible doors. So I understand, like, I came from that victim mentality, but it wasn't until I gave my life to Christ where things really started changing around. And so I encourage those that are suffering or going through things to really put your trust and faith in God. Get involved with a church around you, because I think that really is the foundation, the cornerstone of what has happened in my life. Really.
And I'm gonna say something. I back you up with when you mentioned that to be a U.S. citizen, that's a privilege.
Yeah.
To me, when I became a U.S. citizen, I was pregnant with my kids. That's what the day of my naturalization ceremony, and that's the same day I find out that I have twins in my belly. Growing in my belly. And, the people that know me, they know how difficult it was for me struggling to get pregnant. So I went to a treatment called in vitro, the IVF, and it was hard for me to get pregnant. I didn't know if I was going to be able to be a mom. But I knew for sure that I wanted to become a U.S. citizen. That's something that I didn't know if I was going to be able.
And you're a registered voter.
Of course, since then.
And you vote for me.
Yes. Yes. Yeah.
Just making sure.
How come? Yes. From the moment I met you, I always vote for you. But here's the thing. So when I become a U.S. citizen, the first thing that I wanted to do, it was to be able to vote. And I don't know if that happened to everybody that become a U.S. citizen, that is immigrant and have the privilege to become a U.S. citizen, but that was my dream, to vote, because in our country, we take elections very serious, and also we have a party in the streets, people in the caravana con los carros, and we throw harina, huevos, like a celebration. It's a celebration.
Wow.
Not in this country, but I take that serious. Yeah. And that has a privilege not only to live in this country, but also to be able to vote, for me, was very, very serious.
All right, let's get back to our comments.
So let's go back to the comments.
Sorry.
Okay, so we have two. Antonio Garcia has two comments or questions. What do you think, and I wanted you to answer that, not Orlando, because he talks too much. What do you think about independent voters that tend to lean Republican? How can we change that? I have seen a lot of independent voters that lost interest in the Republican and Democratic Party. Is there such a thing as an independent Republican voter?
It's an interesting question there. I think I've seen is in the political system, we've become so partisan, and I think some of us, either we're red or we're blue or we're Democrat or Republican, but there's a lot of people that are in the middle. And I think the Republican Party hasn't done a good job, or there's a room for improvement to reach out to those in the middle. And I think one of the issues there that can, lean towards people more, on the middle side is coming up with solutions and being compassionate towards the immigrant community. I think that's a big opportunity there. So like I look back at it, I look at DACA is a winning issue for the Republican Party, but not that many people are out there talking about it. A lot of people weren't like, oh, well, if I'm for DACA, then that means that I'm going to get illegal, and I'm going to get amnesty and all this. And I'm, now they want. So there's a lot of people that are afraid to say that. But I just wish there was more bold and courageous leaders that can stand up.
Let me just respond, because that's an interesting.
This is a second part from the same person, and you can also add it to this.
Well, let me just say real quick, in American politics, the middle has always decided elections. There is a third of the country that is, hard left. There's a third of the country is hard right. And it's the middle that always makes those decisions. And the question is, which you brought up, yes, the Republican Party is always a day late and a dollar short. I tell my friends in the Texas legislature and my friends in Congress that want to listen to me, some of them, most of them don't, that they are missing opportunities. They can apply conservative principles to urban problems. We win. Don't be afraid to show up to the barrios. Don't be afraid to show up to the hood. They're good, hardworking people. And I tell my African-American friends, and those of you that watched our ESPN radio program live, we had my former colleagues on the Houston City Council that were African-Americans. I told them, I said, the African-Americans' worst enemy is the American media, because they portray the African-American in the most dreadful manner, when we know that the majority of African-Americans are family-oriented, working hard, going to church, paying their taxes, and trying to put food on the table. Yeah. So Republicans, roll up your sleeves and get to work in urban areas. Apply conservative principles to urban problems. You can start with education.
Okay. We have a lot of comments, so you need to keep it short. Okay, Antonio, I don't know if we already answered your question, but Antonio said also, is there such a thing as an independent Republican politician that supports immigration reform?
Yeah, there's plenty of them.
Okay. Maria Espinosa, Orlando, why did you not sign the petition to have President Trump on the ballot this election?
Why didn't I sign the petition? I didn't know there was a petition to have President Trump. I mean, I thought he was the default nominee through the convention process.
And there's also, Maria also asked, why are you asking an illegal aliens anything? It is illegal or... Okay.
Let me because it's been brought up. There are a lot of Hispanics, right? Mm-hmm. that are I want to call them, and I don't want to get too far into this. Self-loathing. Mm-hmm. In other words, I don't get that. I'm not a self-loathing Hispanic. I understand the plight of the illegal alien. Do I want criminal illegal aliens? No. Do I want my country to have strong border security? Yes. Do we need to build a wall? Whatever it takes, right? Yeah. I don't care if it's a wall. I don't care if it's, ditches. I don't care if it's barbed wire. We need border security. But I am not going to abandon the hopes of fellow immigrants. I'm just not going to do it.
And I know Maria very well, and I know her platform, what she stands for. She ran a great race in CD7, but I think it's important to have just different voices out there.
Absolutely.
So
yeah, Maria, thank you for your service. I know you're a patriot of this country, and you hope for the best for this country. But I respectfully disagree with your position with respect to the language we use towards undocumented aliens.
Quick point on that. We might disagree on 20%, but we agree on 80%. Right. And that's what we should focus on, is on the 80%.
Okay, next comment.
I'm not okay. This also, we as Republicans should try to work more with the young communities.
Absolutely.
I agree. That's why I want to get so involved passionately in politics, is because we need younger voices out there. You guys are doing a great job of finding those voices.
I got to tell you something. I got a text the other day, and it was a picture of, I mean, we got to talk about this because we got to talk about uncomfortable stuff. It was a picture of the Bexar County Republican Party. It was in the Texas Tribune. Guys, go look it up. There wasn't one face of color in that group. And you're right. I mean, as the demographics in Texas change, and I know that the left loves to talk about, well, you're brown, you're black, you're Asian, we conservatives, we look at each other as fellow patriots. I don't see him as a Mexican immigrant. I see you as a patriot who loves this country and wants to preserve the Constitution. Absolutely. We as immigrants want the same thing, right? So, yeah, reach out to young people. Next comment.
Okay. Julie Campos, I'm a Republican and support border security. What do you think about the penalties for people hiring illegal immigrants and paying them these low wages? Right now, they pay a fine and go back to hire them again. Should the media start showing these individuals as well instead of only showing the immigrants being arrested? What are the current penalties for these companies?
Hey, congratulations. That is an excellent observation. I've always said, and y'all can comment, if you want to end illegal immigration in this country, you go handcuff the CEOs of these corporations, of these businesses that are hiring undocumented aliens and make them do the perp walk. I can assure you that tomorrow, illegal immigration will be over. That was an excellent observation. I just love conservative Latinos because they get it. That's my opinion, but go ahead. Do you have a comment on that?
I mean, I just... again, at the end of the day, I think immigrants, we want to continue paying our taxes. We want to support our communities. But at the same time, I think, businesses overall, I agree with you, we need to go after those that run.
And it's not fair. It's not fair to the hardworking Americans to continue to allow a faucet of cheap labor because it drives down wages. I have a friend in this town that has made tremendous contributions to our society. I'm not talking about his political philosophy, and I'm going to call him out. His name is Norman Adams. And Norman has been working for years to find a way to address the illegal immigration issue. We need more leaders. I'm not saying I agree 100% with Norman, but we need more leaders like him. We need not be afraid of this debate. Go ahead, Andrew.
Okay, this question is for you.
Okay.
I'm a Latina who believes in law and order. I am 100% opposed to giving amnesty to lawbreakers who enter our country illegally. What is your guess, which is you, position on amnesty?
Yeah, I think, first of all, amnesty is such a hard word because it automatically says yes or no. I want to come up with solutions that makes sense. I mean, what you guys propose, like when I talk to people that are out there, undocumented at this moment that are not DACA recipients, a lot of them really could care less if they're citizens or not.
Correct.
They just want to go and pay their taxes and support. Can we pay a fine for the law they broke? I think there's an opportunity for that, but I think there's important discussions to be had. I think I guess the question. The Republicans are afraid, well, if we give everyone, citizenship, well, they're all going to be Democrats. And I think that's why a lot of them are afraid to even come to the table and have a conversation. And I say, well, if you're afraid that a lot of them are going to be Democrats, well, you're not doing your job. You're not reaching out. You're not being there by their side. You're not talking to them. And so I think we need to change the narrative. And, we need organizations like what your guys are doing to advocate for reasonable solutions.
Yeah, Eladio, but also let me tell you something. I'm going to speak up for my fellow Republicans because I hear this all the time. In 1986, we did the Immigration Reform Act that was signed by Republican President Ronald Reagan, which was an act of Congress that the executive signed, and it did contain amnesty. And so Republicans are saying, wait, we tried that once. We were promised that if we gave amnesty to the couple million illegal aliens that are in this country, that we would secure the border and we would stop that. It didn't happen. We gave amnesty and the border was open. Shame on Republicans, shame on Democrats, because you guys knew exactly what was going on and you kept our wages low. You kept the flow of illegals coming. And by the way, 63% of those that were eligible to apply for U.S. citizenship under the 1986 Immigration Adjustment Act never applied for citizenship. So what Eladio said is that illegal aliens don't want to vote. They don't want to become U.S. citizens. They simply want to live here, work, pay their taxes, and be with their families. That's the memo.
Vicky said, we can do this. It will take work. Who wants to work? Who wants to work? Leaders, candidates need to get our year round instead of just in election time. Orlando is doing it. Meaning that
Well,
you
that was
work,
very nice.
that you work all year round.
The pay's real good.
And I will say though that on the Democratic side, I think immigrants and just Hispanics have been taken for granted. I think we're always talking about it every 4 years, every election time. They promise us this, they promise that, and when it comes down to it, nothing gets done. And so
you heard Alan West's comments, right? To a young lady who is the recruitment head for the Hidalgo County Republican Party, Mayra Flores.
Mm-hmm.
She did an interview with Alan West, and he said, he looked in the camera, we'll try to get this video for you. Alan West said to Latinos in this state, don't let the Democrats do to you what they did to the African American
I did see that, yeah.
That was really, telling it like it is. Yeah. Boy, is that a wake-up call.
Absolutely.
Yeah, they can. And you guys can visit also, besides our page, they can visit Mayra Flores' page, because she posts every day interesting things.
Good.
Okay, look, it's 10 minutes until noon. I'm getting hungry, so we have an offer for free lunch. We like free stuff. Not really. I want to thank you all for watching. Go to our webpage. It's TexasLatinoConservatives.com. Join us. You get a great T-shirt like this. You get a membership card.
Yeah, we didn't ask about our T-shirts today.
Yeah, they look really nice.
Estrenando. This is a brand new T-shirt.
Tranquila. Anyway,
get excited.
The purpose of our PAC is to give the Latinos a voice in this state. We want to hear your voice, whether it's Maria's voice who disagrees with us, or whether it's Hilario's voice, or whether it's Andrea's voice. We want to hear you, but we want you to participate. Our job is to educate you. Our job is to ensure that you don't abandon your conservative values to go vote for a party that has essentially destroyed a great community like the African American community in this country. We don't want that for the Latino community. I've always said to Latinos, you don't need to be 100% with Republicans, 100% with Democrats. You need to have one foot at each side, right? But what we're seeing as Republicans, as conservatives, is that we're losing a big percentage of the Latino voters because of some of the things that we failed to do. And so we're trying to win that vote back. That's what we are all about, is making sure that you don't abandon your conservative values. Hilario, thank you for taking time out of your busy day to come spend time with us.
No, I thank you guys. Thank you everyone for watching and who will be watching. Thank you for the opportunity. I think, like you said, it's important to have these discussions. There are people that don't. Immigration is a hot topic. It's a hot topic.
I could tell.
I know, right?
It's
a hot topic, right? It's a hot topic, but we need people that are sound-minded, people that can understand others, can don't get easily mad or upset. I think we just need to have a conversation, and then you guys are providing that space, both in English and Spanish. And I want to thank y'all, and it's a great honor to be here.
Hilario, yo quiero decir algo en español para nuestra gente latina que prefiere comunicarse en nuestro idioma, en español.
Sí.
Es bien importante que votes por el que quieras votar, pero sal a votar. No importa quién te guste más o quién te disguste menos, porque a veces ni siquiera votamos por el que nos gusta más, pero por el que nos disgusta menos y por el que nos sentimos más identificados. Pero para mí no solamente es importante que salgas a votar, y no solamente en las elecciones presidenciales, sino también en las elecciones estatales, locales, del condado de Harris, de la ciudad, porque acá vivimos en Houston, o los que viven en Dallas, o los que viven en Austin, vivimos en esa ciudad, y todo lo que ocurre en esa ciudad, en el gobierno de esa ciudad, es lo que nos acontece directamente. Y la otra es que nos tenemos que informar.
Sí.
Y cuando digo nos tenemos que informar, es que no se vayan nomás a Facebook, no se vayan nomás
Telemundo,
a Twitter o a las estaciones de televisión, sea en inglés o sea en español. Haz tu propio research, haz tu propia investigación, y de verdad ve a fondo, porque a veces hablamos sin conocimiento, atacamos sin saber, y la ignorancia es, yo creo que una de las más grandes pandemias más grande que el COVID-19. Así que por eso es importante que estemos bien educados y que definitivamente participemos, porque si llegamos a este país fue para buscar un mejor futuro, pero parte de ese mejor futuro es que nosotros somos los que decidimos, y eso es la democracia. El pueblo es el que decide quién es el que está en el poder para que nosotros podamos tener un mejor futuro y nuestros hijos.
Preach it, Sister Gomez.
That's right.
Pues ya por fin me dejaste hablar.
No,
me has
pero
dejado
ya
hablar.
sacaste todo el oxígeno del aire.
Pero viste, como él habló los 45
Sí.
minutos, o sea, dame 5 minutos.
I didn't suck up all the time, did I?
Sí.
You guys were at 50-50. I'll
Okay,
leave it
thank
at that.
you.
You know, I'm in the middle. I'm in the middle. Yeah, I'm in the middle.
El pobre Hilario, es que si digo lo contrario no me vuelven a invitar.
I know, right?
No, Hilario, thank you so
Yeah,
much
thank
for
you
your
so
time.
much. Absolutely.
And you were so popular. We're still receiving
Yeah.
comments
Wow.
like, look, this is
Wow.
crazy.
And guys,
I love it.
just because we're going off of Facebook Live to enjoy lunch along Almuerzo Hoy, that doesn't mean you can't stay on. And we read every one of your comments.
Yeah.
So we will continue the discussion on Facebook.
Yeah.
Thank you for joining us. We do this every week at 11 o'clock. Más o menos.
Más o menos.
I can tell you that next week we will be. I will be joining you from the great state of Montana.
What?
Wow.
And-
I didn't know that.
Yes,
Amazing.
I didn't know.
Andrea will be holding down the fort here in Houston.
Wow.
So
You know what? Okay, Edgar Pacheco, if you're watching us, you're going to be my co-host. He
Nice.
is doing an amazing...
He's an
Actually-
incredible leader.
Oh, and he
Great
say hi to
Yeah.
you.
Oh,
he say hi
he's
to
a good
you.
friend of mine.
that's
How
a
you doing?
great idea. I think I would just. I'm going to take a week break and let's bring in Mr. Pacheco to be the
Good.
co-host.
I'm going to bring Pacheco as a co-host, and I'm going to alternate it now with Hilario, because Hilario is
Oh,
very
wow.
popular.
No.
More popular than you, I'm sorry.
Well, he's younger and better looking.
Yeah.
Bye, guys. We'll see you all
All right,
next
guys.
week.
God
Remember,
bless.
go to our website.
Yes.
See you later.